how do you think about these laws and the state involvement and the regulation of abortion or contraception, we can put that on the table too, as compared to the rest of the healthcare system, right? So how do you respond to folks who say, look, you know, we have an incredibly highly regulated system, the ACA is regulating all kinds of things now, why should this area be different from other areas of healthcare?
Well, I guess I would respond to that by saying that this area should be regulated, but it should be regulated with progressive intent. You know, and I think that's one of the messages that I've, after sort of swimming around in these laws for a while, have come to, that instead of coming back with, you know, let's not regulate this clinical environment, maybe progressive should be saying we should regulate, but we should regulate with the intent to increase access, not decrease access.
Yeah, and I think it's appropriate for the state to regulate, you know, clinicians of all types. I think it's appropriate for the state to find substandard providers and keep them out of business. But I don't think it's appropriate for the state to single out abortion care for a special set of regulations that no other type of healthcare gets in this country. I think that abortion care should be treated like all healthcare and receive appropriate regulation the way that, you know, when you go in and you have heart surgery, you get appropriate information that is in some ways regulated by the state. And that's right, we can support that, but what we can't support is false and misleading information, for example, about accessing a basic healthcare service.
Questions from?
In the states where providers have to follow a script, are there also parameters around what they can say before and after? Are they allowed to say, for example, this is a script that I have to read you, but I don't personally agree with it? Is that allowed?
It is. You can. It's called disassociating. So you can disassociate from the script. You can say, the state legislature passed a law and said that I have to read this to you.
I can just be really loud.
Please do, thank you.
So you briefly mentioned in your speech, Rachel, that you were concerned about having challenges to some of these really negative things come up in particularly the Supreme Court. But if that's, you know, at least your feelings or the feelings of other people in the community, how do we get rid of it? How else do we overturn this like very negative environment and move towards having a progressive, you know, access-oriented, regulatory environment?
Vote. I mean, I don't think there's any other. I think it's just that simple. And this is me just wearing my personal hat, not the hat of the organization that I work for. But I think that ultimately, if we want anything to change, we have to put different politicians in office, and we have to put politicians in office who are going to appoint judges to the state and federal bench that have a more progressive reading of a woman's right to choose in the Constitution. So there's not much we can do about the current makeup of the Supreme Court right now, and I think until that changes, the Supreme Court is unlikely to be a friendly place to pro-choice advocates.
I think also, you know, it raises what you're asking raises another question, which is, you know, how much of
Yeah. Is it on?
I don't think so. I can
Can
talk
people
louder.
hear her? No.
Okay, why don't you use this for the video?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, that it raises interesting questions about maybe looking outside of the law for answers to these things. Also, you know, I think a lot of people would sort of decry the loss of sort of a big movement for reproductive justice in the U.S. You know, I mean, this was something that inspired a lot of people to be activists, and in some ways, the more legal we are about it, the more our activism gets diffused a little bit. You know, and there are, maybe we should be creating opportunities to protest or to, you know, to sort of make other opinions and positions known on this issue outside of the court context.
Yeah, I mean, that's the focus of a lot of the work that I do, which is to say, in a state like Oklahoma, these restrictions exist, and there's not much we can do about it. I mean, Oklahoma is one of the most conservative states in the country, and that's not going to change anytime soon, even if, as I sort of flippantly said, people need to vote, but what we need to do is figure out how to connect women to care. So how to connect women in Oklahoma to abortion care when they decide that that's the choice that's right for them, and to make sure that they're able to navigate the barriers, even though it's difficult, and to make sure that health and social service providers are referring them quickly and competently to quality abortion care.
I can speak loudly, that's okay. I just have a question about this, because we talk about this like state by state. Would it be possible, like, if a woman wanted an abortion, say she was in Oklahoma, to come, like, just to travel to, like, say the Northeast and say I want an abortion and be in a state that has different restrictions, different laws? Is that something that's possible, or would they, like, check your residency and be like, no, you have to go back to Oklahoma?
Yeah, a lot of women do actually travel in order to get abortion care, partly because of gestational limits. Sometimes women live close to the state border, and it's just easier to go into a different state. And for some of the reasons that you cited, lack of providers, but women definitely do travel, and obviously when restrictions are passed on abortion that make it so that women have to travel, you're radically increasing the cost of abortion care. And insurance companies, even if they do cover abortion, I don't know of them covering the cost of a plane ticket to get to New York. So.
Any other questions? Yeah.
As for increasing access to care, particularly in regions and states that have these waiting periods of 24 to 72 hours, has there been a movement to create sort of like a safe house network of people that are willing to provide housing? Because if you're 19 years old and you're a freshman in college and you have to travel 200 miles already to get to an abortion care provider, you might not be able to pay $60 a night for a Motel 6. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if there's any sort of safe house network. I know that exists for like trans individuals or homeless youth situations.
Yeah, I know that New York State has an organized organization that is an organized system of sort of safe houses. The way that you just described them is called Haven. And I know that helps women who are coming in from out of state in particular. But most states have abortion funds that are run by volunteers where women can call and get supplemental funding for their abortion care. And frequently those funds respond very holistically to the things that are happening in a woman's life that's making it difficult for her to get the care. So she's got to find childcare, she's got to take time off of work, she needs gas money, she needs to stay at a motel, and they frequently really help with that. I don't know of it as like a very organized, systematic thing, but I do know that there are a lot of funds that help women that way.
Any other questions? Well, if not, I want to ask you to join me in thanking our panelists for controversial, they raise really difficult issues. Next week, changing topics, but continuing our look at health policy, looking at the prescription drug pipeline, too slow for our own good. We have two fabulous speakers next week, Sydney Wolf, the founder and senior advisor to the Health Research Group of Public Citizens, and Professor Kenneth Caden, director of the Center for the Study of Drug Development at Tufts University. So we look forward to seeing all of you here next week. Thanks so much.